Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. My name is DaReal, and we are back with some NBA 2K Mobile. We're going to be ranking the top power forwards in NBA 2K Mobile Season 5, so let's get into it. Now, when you are looking at your power forwards, there are some stats you want to pay attention to. Now, there are some stats that are mandatory for these players, and there are some stats that make them elite, and there are a few power forwards that have stats you wouldn't even imagine. So let's break it down. All right, so shoot-up dribble should be at least a 4. Layups and dunks should be at least a 4. Mid-range shooting should be at least a 4. Three-point shot, for the most part, should be at least a 3. Post scoring should be at least a 3. Agility should be at least a 4. Strength should be at least a 3. Rebounding should be at least a 3. Playmaking should be at least a 4. Defense should also be at least a 4. So if you have a power forward with stats that are lower than those numbers in the categories, they tend to be one of the lower power forwards in the game. Today we're going to be ranking the top power forwards in NBA 2K Mobile Season 5. This ranking will include player rarities from Ruby to Pearl, and in most cases the player's name will have the same stats for each rarity. However, there were some stat increases for a few players in Season 5. We're going to be ranking the players from lowest stat average to highest, so let's get started. So the lowest ranked power forward in the game right now is Chris Boucher. He's got a 3.2 stat average, and then what makes him stand out is just the post scoring and the rebounding. The next card is Topaz Jaden McDaniels. He's got a 3.6 stat average. Now, right now, the players that are ranked between 3.2 to 3.7 would be the lower bunch of the group. For Topaz, we got Marvin Bagley III. He also has a 3.6 stat average. He stands out with the post scoring, the rebounding. Then we got Jade Trey Lyles, who has a 3.6 as well. Stands out with the post scoring, the rebounding. Then we got J. Marcus Morris Sr. He's got a 3.6 stat average. Then we got Pearl Larry Nance Jr., who also has a 3.6. He stands out with that 4 in strength and rebounding as well. Then we got Onyx Jeremy Grant. He's got a 3.7 stat average, stands out with the 4 in rebounding. And we got Topaz Jaren Jackson Jr., who also has a 3.7. He stands out with the 5 in defense, the 4 in strength, and the 4 in post scoring. Then we got a player who, for one, I think we need a new rarity for a higher rarity. Now, his stat average is on the lower side, right? It's 3.7. But let me tell you something. For head-to-head, Dennis Rodman is super underrated, right? He's the only player in the game that's got a 6 in rebounding. That's one thing. He has a 5 in strength, which is also spectacular. And he also has a 5 in defense. So if you look past all the other scoring stats, Dennis Rodman is an elite power forward. I think he's like one of the top in the game. But based off of stats, I have to rank him lower because he's not going to be doing any type of scoring for your team. But if you don't care about that and you surround him about pure scorers and a really good center that can score in the post, Rodman is a great option to throw in your team. I run with Rodman sometimes because he's that elite. I just want a higher rarity because Galaxy Opal ain't cutting it right now when you got Pearl cards in the game. Now, the next set of players will be the next tier, in my opinion. This is anything that's like 3.8 to 4. All right, so we got Pearl Tobias Harris, who stands out with the 4 in post scoring and the 4 in strength. All right, then we got Jade PJ Washington. He's got a 3.8 stat average, stands out with the 4 in post scoring, the 4 in strength, and the 4 in rebounding. Then we got Jade Laurie Markkinen. He also has a 3.8, stands out with the 4 in post scoring and the 4 in rebounding. Then we got Pink Diamond Horace Grant. He has a 3.8 stat average. He stands out with a 5 in post scoring, a 5 in strength, and a 5 in rebounding. And he's a 5 in mid-range shooting. So he's actually a better scorer than Dennis Rodman and almost as good as far as the rebounding. And we got Jade Herbert Jones, who's got a 3.8 stat average. He stands out with the 5 in defense and the 4 in post scoring. And then new to the game, we got Jade Carlos Boozer. He was featured in Historic Greats theme that just wrapped up. He's got a 5 in mid-range shooting, which makes him stand out, along with the 5 in strength, the 5 in rebounding, and he's got an overall stat average of 3.8. And we got Onyx Lamar Odom. He's got a 3.9 stat average, stands out with the 4 in rebounding and the 4 in post scoring. Next up is a Topaz Kyle Kuzma. He's got a 3.9 stat average, and Kyle's actually a little bit better than I originally expected when he came out in the game. Overall, he's got pretty good stats. He does stand out with the 4 in post scoring as well. So if you notice, that's a common trend among the better power forwards is to have that stat. Next up, we got Dark Matter Kevin McHale, who's really good as well. He's got a 5 in defending. He also has that 5 in strength and 5 in rebounding. And he's got a 5 in post scoring. So he's a really good player and has a decent jump shot as well. He's got a 4 in mid-range shot. Finishes off with a 3.9 stat average. Next is Pearl Kelly Oubre Jr., 3.9 stat average. Kelly Oubre Jr. has a 5 in agility, which makes him one of the faster power forwards, which makes him one of the more agile power forwards. He also has a 5 in three-point shot, which makes him stand out as well big time. And he wraps things up with a 4 in strength. Next, we got Dark Matter Grant Williams, 3.9 stat average. He also has a 5 in three-point shot. And the rest of the stats are pretty average. Next is Jade DeMontis Sabonis, 3.9 stat average. He's got a couple 5s, right? He's got a 5 in post scoring, and he also has a 5 in rebounding. So he's actually one of the better power forwards in the game because his scoring isn't that bad. He also has a 5 in post scoring. Next is Jay Dario Saric. He's got a 3.9 stat average. He has decent stats across the board. Next is Jade Brandon Clark, who also has a 3.9. He stands out with the 5 in agility. Next is Jade Aaron Gordon, 3.9 as well. He's got a 5 in, he also has a 5 in agility and a 5 in layups and dunks. All right, so I'm actually going to start with Aaron Gordon, and we're going to wrap up that tier. Anybody that I just named from 3.8 to 3.9 are power forwards that you can use in your squad to grind through tourneys, but you do want to upgrade these power forwards at some point. So the next tier is power forwards that you can use in your squad. They're really good for head-to-head, and they're good for grinding the game. And ultimately, if you would be upgrading them with one of the elite players. So I'm going to go over the players that are rated from 4.0 to about 4.2. So we're going to start with Pearl Tim Duncan. Now, I got to be honest with you, Tim Duncan really is one of the elite power forwards in this game, but he does have some stats that hurt him big time. But then he has stats that are really solid, right? He's got 5 in mid-range, 5 in post scoring, 5 in strength, 5 in rebounding and defending. But he's got a 2 and 3-point shot, right? He's never been a 3-point shooter. But in NBA 2K Mobile, you kind of need a power forward that can hit threes. For some reason, they end up in the corner a lot. And he has a 3 in playmaking, which makes him one of the slowest players to use. So if you can ignore those stats, kind of like you do with Dennis Rodman, then Tim Duncan is great for your squad, right? He's elite, and he comes up in a lot of themes. So he's a player that you can always get a better rarity for. Next, we got Jade Obi Toppin, and it's crazy that I even got to mention Obi Toppin and Tim Duncan in the same sentence. But he's got a 4.0 stat average. And folks, I am a Knicks fan, but I got to be real about it too. So he's got a 5 in layups and dunks. He's got a 5 in agility and 5 in strength. But he has a 4 and 3-point shot. So things like that will make these players have a higher stat average than an NBA legend like Tim Duncan. It's kind of crazy, but it is what it is. Then we got Kristaps Porzingis, who I think is a very elite player for head-to-head. Some of his stats, though, don't line up with that. But trust me, he is head-to-head cheese. He's got a 5 in mid-range, 5 in 3-point shot, and 5 post-scoring. So he's definitely a good scorer for your squad. What hurts him is, though, he's got a 2 in playmaking. So he's one of the slower players in the game. And for some reason, he's got a 4 in defending, which is kind of weird because in head-to-head, he's a real good shot blocker. But if you can ignore all that, Kristaps Porzingis is really good for head-to-head for sure. Then we got Pearl Kenny Martin, who's got a 4.0 as well. He stands out with the 5 in layups and dunks, and the 5 in strength and rebounding. Then we got Pearl Chris Bosh, 4.0 stat average, one of my favorite power forwards in this game. Bosh is great, excellent catch and shoot, stretch big. He's got a 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in post scoring, 5 in rebounding. He's got a 4 and 3-point shot, but I feel like his 3-point shot is a lot better than that when you use him head-to-head. Don't be fooled with that. If you get Bosh, he's one of the best in my opinion. Then we got a Jade Zion Williamson. Now, if you didn't catch my video on Friday, there was a Halloween theme dropping next week, and there will be a new Zion in the game. But right now, Zion's got a 4.1 stat average. It has actually come down from when he first came out. When he first came out with the rookie theme a few years ago, he had a 4.3 stat average. But it's understood, right? Zion hasn't played in a while, and I'm hoping he has a great bounce back campaign. But he's got a 5 in layups and dunks, 5 in post scoring, agility, strength. And he's got a 4 in playmaking, which makes him one of the faster power forwards. Then we got a Galaxy Opal Sean Kemp, one of my favorite power forwards as well. He is the only power forward who has a 6 in strength. He's got a 5 in post scoring, 5 in agility, 5 in rebounding, 5 in defending, 5 in layups and dunks, But it's just another case of a player who has a 2 in playmaking and a 2 and 3-point shot. That's what brings down his stats. If not, Sean Kemp will be in a higher tier for sure. You know, one can argue that he can get a 6 in layups and dunks because that's how dynamic he is. And we got Topaz Pascal Siakam, 4.1 stat average. He got a stat buff this year. He's got a 5 in layups and dunks and a 5 in post scoring. And the rest of the stats are pretty average. Then we got Jay Draymond Green. He's got a 4.1 stat average. He stands out with a 5 in playmaking, a 5 in defending, and a 5 in strength. We definitely know he's got a 5 in strength. We might even argue he gets a 6. That's kind of crazy if we think about it still. But either way, he is one of the fastest power forwards in this game, which is pretty insane. Then we got a Jade Blake Griffin. He's got a 4.1 stat average as well. He's got 5 in layups and dunks, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in post scoring, 5 in strength. So he's definitely one of the better power forwards in the game. Very good overall. And this is the Clippers Blake Griffin, so I would expect it to be a little better. So I actually would think that he would get a layups and dunks for a 6 as well. So now the next tier is going to be players that are rated between 4.2 to 4.3. So these are like super elite players. If you have them on your squad, you're A-okay. If you have them on your squad, you're in great shape. You don't really need to upgrade them unless you get one of the few GOAT players in the game. With a 4.2 stat average, you got a Topaz Rui Hachimura. He's got a 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in layups and dunks, a 5 in strength, and a 5 in agility. Next, we got Julius Randle, Knicks Nation, 4.2 stat average. He also got a stat increase as well. He's got a 5 in mid-range, 5 in strength, 5 in rebounding. And then we got, with a 4.3 stat average, we got Dark Matter, Karl Malone, 5 in strength, 5 in mid-range, 5 in post scoring, 5 in rebounding, 5 in defending, and he got a 4 in playmaking. So he's definitely one of the best power forwards in the game. And here goes a secret gem for newer players in the game. We got Ruby Josh Smith, who has a 4.3 stat average. He's got a 4 and 3-point shot, 5 in defending, 5 in layups and dunks, 5 in agility, and 5 in rebounding. Really good card in the game. And if there was a higher rarity, Josh Smith would be good to have on your squad. And we got another Nick, Galaxy Opalmari Stoudemire. He also has a 4.3 stat average, 5 in layups and dunks, mid-range, post-scoring, agility, strength, and rebounding. What hurts stat, though, is he doesn't have a 3-point shot and his playmaking. So he is a slower player as well. Now, you might have just gotten his card as a free code, as a pink diamond if you're a newer player. But Pearl Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis is one of the elite power forwards for sure. He's got a 5 in defending, layups and dunks, post-scoring, rebounding, and agility. Really good power forward, and he has a 4 and 3-point shot. Topaz Dirk Nowitzki, one of the most popular power forwards in the game. A lot of people like to use Dirk. He's got a 4.3 stat average, 5 in shoot-off dribble, which is pretty good. Mid-range, 5 and 3-point shot, 5 in post-scoring, and a 5 in rebounding. So Dirk can do a little bit of everything. He can rebound and he can definitely score. And then we got my favorite power forward in this game is Kevin Garnett. So good for head-to-head. This dude does not give up on any play. Hustles on every play, defensively, offensive rebounds, putbacks, and he's a great mid-range shot. He's got a 5 in mid-range shot, 5 in post scoring, 5 in layups and dunks, 5 in strength, rebounding, and defending, and he's got a 4 in playmaking, right? Kevin Garnett is one of the best players in this game. I'm telling you, you'll have a lot of fun if you unlock the historic greats KG, because the big ticket is no joke, all right? Now here's a player who is definitely an underrated gem. And it took a while before him to get a new rarity in the game. He didn't appear in the game for a while either. But it's John Collins Jr., 4.4 stat average. And this guy's stats are really good. 5 in shoot-off dribble, layups and dunks, 3-point shot, rebounding, agility. But everything else is pretty good. Like, he's got a 4 in mid-range, 4 in post-scoring. Surprisingly, though, his playmaking is only a 2. And we got Pearl Chris Webber. Now, Chris Webber, I've always said, is a gem in his game. His stats support it. And I think out of the power forwards, he is a bit faster than some of the older NBA players. So he's got a 5 in layups and dunks in mid-range shooting, post-scoring, agility, strength, rebounding. And he's got a 4 in playmaking. But again, like the older players, got a 2 and 3-point shot. But I'm sure if C-Web was playing now, he would have added that to his game because that's how good he was. Then we got our secret gem, Jade Antoine Jamison, one of the best players in this game. And I'm telling you, I'm going to grab Jade season so I can add him to my squad. Antoine Jamison has a 5 and 3-point shot, mid-range shooting, rebounding, post scoring, and he's got a 3 in playmaking. But I'm telling you, Antoine Jamison is legit. Definitely a player you want to add to your squad. And we got Topaz Antoine Walker. Now, when I did a sneak peek for the new rarities inside NBA 2K Mobile Season 5, Antoine Walker was one of those players that I already knew was going to be a gem. New to the game, and I'm telling you, he's one of the original stretch fours, but you can see it here. He's got a 5 in post scoring, mid-range, shoot off dribble, rebounding. He's got a 4 in playmaking, and surprisingly, his 3-point shot is only a 4, but either way, his stats is pretty elite. He's definitely one of the GOATs inside the game. Now, the next player, honestly, I don't even want to talk about, considering what I've seen over the offseason. Pretty insane, but he's still in the game, and his stats are incredible, right? Definitely underrated gem. I actually was surprised at how good his stats are, but they are a 4.5 overall stat average, just like Antoine Walker. He's got a 5 in shoot off dribble, layups and dunks, 3-point shot, post scoring, agility. Definitely has really good stats. And last but not least, you already know he is the best power forward every season. Him and LeBron are just the GOATs inside this game, and I revealed it on the cover of the thumbnail as well. But it's Giannis. Giannis has a 4.7 stat average. Basically, he's good in every category. And he's really elite with the 5 in playmaking, which is insane for a power forward. And believe it or not, he's got a 4 and 3-point shot. But if you have any version of Giannis on your squad, you're in great shape. All right, so let me know in the comment section what power forward you're using right now. I appreciate all the support everyone's been showing on this series. I catch everyone in the next one. Peace out.